What's happening, everybody? It's your boy Charles Wells, aka C Wells, and I am your tour guide as we take our trip around the SWAC. Today, we'll be talking about the Florida A&M Rattlers, welcoming them officially to the SWAC. This is their first SWAC season, so we want to welcome them aboard. And just like we did with Bethune-Cookman, we want to talk about them a little bit and see what I think they're gonna do. And see how successful their first SWAC season is. Before we do all of that, as usual, you can check out the podcast. SWACTalk is on Anchor.fm. Also found on Spotify, Stitcher, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and Apple Podcasts. Also, you can hit if you would like to support the show, you can hit the Cash App $/SWACTalk. Other than that, as you can see, the socials are on the screen, so you can check those out at your leisure. And we're at, I think, 220 some odd subscribers. So I'd like to thank everybody for subscribing. If you haven't done so already, I want you to go ahead and do that because, hey, this is a good place to be. So go ahead and subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can be alerted to anything that I upload, because I do upload some things randomly. I have a set schedule, but I also like to upload things randomly. So don't miss out on anything. Tomorrow, we have another edition of SWAC Smoke, as I'm calling it right now, with my boy. We're going to come through tomorrow with that for y'all. Sunday, we'll be back with another podcast and video combo talking about Grambling. Wednesday will be Jackson State, so I'm sure everybody will be tuned in for next Wednesday, and then another edition of SWAC Smoke, and then on and on. So not a lot to really get to, but at the same time, still a lot to get to because we're making our way through the SWAC. We driving the whip around the SWAC. We're heading into Tallahassee on the hill to see what these Rattlers are about. So we want to welcome them in officially. What up? How you doing? So with that out of the way, 2019 was obviously a very successful season for Florida A&M. It didn't end the way they wanted to because they could not go to the Celebration Bowl, but they actually beat North Carolina A&T, and they beat Southern, who was the West Division SWAC champ. So they beat two teams who had an opportunity to either win or play for their conference championships. They finished 9-2. Their only FCS loss was to Bethune-Cookman. Obviously, the Florida Classic, they haven't won that in a while. So, that loss and a loss to UCF to open the season were their only two blemishes on the schedule. So they felt since 2019 that they were the best team in Black college football. And, it was hard, you'd be hard pressed to say otherwise. North Carolina A&T was a very good team, but Florida A&M beat them with their backup quarterback. So that should, obviously that means that team is pretty good. And the guy who did not play was Ryan Stanley. He was a monster at quarterback, set lots of records at Florida A&M, and was a hell of a quarterback. He's gone now, so the reins would be handed to a multitude of guys. I believe first guy getting first reps will be I cannot talk. Excuse me. Will be Rashawn McKay. That name has been giving me trouble all day. I think he'll get first, crack at the first string reps. He played in 7 games last year, including that North Carolina A&T game where he was able to lead the Rattlers to a victory. So he does have some playing experience, and that's a huge plus for a team that's basically breaking in a new quarterback, to have a guy come in that actually has some experience on the field. Now, whether they give him the reins 100% is going to be up to him. I think he's going to have to earn it. Y'all can correct me in the comments, but I heard, and this is only what, I'm just going on what people said. I don't want to say one way or the other, but I know they had a transfer. John Holcomb came from Kansas State. Some people said he wasn't with the program. I'm not trying to say he is or he isn't. But if you know, let me know in the comments if he's there or not, because I think that he has a chance to factor into the race if he is there. If he's not, then I think McKay has a great shot at getting that job and keeping it. The running game was not very good in 2019. even though they had probably the best offense, they were last in the MEAC in rushing at about 105 yards per game. But they're returning some backs. Bishop Bonnet is a guy who they're leaning on, but they make their bones through the air. And obviously, when you have a guy like Xavier Smith, he's a beast. He had over 77 receptions on the season, and you can look for him to really help out whoever is the quarterback. We have a guy like that can help you out. He knows he knows how to get open. He's a speedy guy. He can make plays, and he averages about 15 yards per catch. So he's a playmaker. You can really count on a guy like that to help you out a lot. Chad Hunter is another guy that's a big receiver for them. Zende Ray and David Manico, who's a big 6'3" receiver. Those are just some weapons, and I'm mainly speaking offense because I think that's where a lot of people think the Rattlers' questions are. Defensively, Ronaldo Flowers is a defensive lineman to keep an eye on. He was preseason second-team All-SWAC, and obviously Marquise Bell, who is an NFL prospect at defensive back. He was preseason All-SWAC second team, mainly because he did not play in the spring, so he would easily be a first-team all-conference guy, and that's a guy who you're going to see his name on Sundays, definitely for sure, because he's a big play guy. He led the MEAC in interception with 5, and he's just going to be a guy that's always going to make plays and help that defense out. Another name that's been popping around is Savion Williams from Tennessee. He's a transfer in. I expect the Rattlers to obviously be very good this year. How good they are is going to depend on how they navigate the schedule, because the schedule is not necessarily hard, but it doesn't do them any favors the way a lot of things are laid out. Coach Simmons is a guy, he's very familiar with the SWAC, so this ain't nothing new to him coaching in this league. And, he's going to have his guys ready to play. And, that's the first step to winning anything, is to have your guys ready to play. Especially, like I said, you're playing in a new conference, new opponents. There's not a lot of teams that they've played in recent years. So there's not a lot of familiarity with teams. And even some of the teams that you have played in previous years, those teams are totally different now. They played Jackson State a couple years ago, but Jackson State is a totally different team from then. Southern's pretty close to what they were when they played in 2019. But other than that, they haven't really played very many people. I think they played Texas Southern a couple years ago, Valley a couple years ago, but not a lot of matchups outside of that. Jumping into the schedule, obviously they jump right into the fire on September 5th in the Orange Blossom Classic against Jackson State. This is a game I know people have been debating this game back and forth, and everybody's ready for this game. Obviously, this game, a lot of things have to be taken into account with this game, and making a pick right now obviously doesn't impact anything, because even though this game is about 38 days away, a lot can change between then and now, and when they actually take the field. I waver making this pick, and I'm really not looking forward to making the pick that's gonna count when I predict the score and everything before the game, because I go a couple ways. This game can go a couple ways to me. The two primary ways is Florida A&M looks sharp on offense, at least as sharp as they can. If McKay starts at quarterback, and the offense is able to continue to roll like they have been doing, and the defense is playing well, I think they can beat Jackson State in that situation. Obviously, the big caveat is how Jackson State plays. If they play up to the capabilities that are expected of them in week 1, then I think they'll win. And honestly, I think this is a game that they can probably not play. I don't want to say they can't play good and win. I don't think they can bring their C game and win, but they can. I think this is a game they may be able to feel their way into a win, like a close game, maybe a 3-point game. Neither team looking very sharp because it's the first week in Florida. A&M's playing their first game in 2 years. So, that can be, I'm leaning probably more to that aspect, just because I in my selections for right now, I have things going a certain way. So I'm picking Jackson State for this win. Don't come at me because when I make my official prediction, it may change. So this is strictly for my preview. So anything can happen in this game. I would not be surprised if either team won. I don't think anybody is gonna be a heavy favorite at this point, especially early in the season. But I do like the Rattlers' chances in this game, provided they have some solid quarterback play. Because other than that, offensively they're good, and defensively I think they're going to be just fine. So obviously Jackson State has some things to work out, but you know we'll see how they do as the season goes on. But for a first game, you just make a pick and roll with it. September 11th, Florida A&M hosts Fort Valley State. That's a game that I'm pretty sure they'll win. If they lose their game, then no offense to Fort Valley State, but if they lose their game, then something has happened to their team that's going to take some fixing. So I think they'll win that game. September 18th, they go to Tampa to take on USF. This is a game that, you know, if we get into the season and some things fall the Rattlers' way, I wouldn't feel uncomfortable picking them to beat USF. But right now, you know, I'm picking USF strictly for the fact that right now is a lot of uncertainty with Florida A&M at the quarterback position. USF was a bad team in the fall. I think they'll be better under Coach Jeff Scott. I think they'll be better, but the atmosphere will be all Rattlers. Tampa's deep with Rattlers. I used to live in Tampa. I knew a lot of Rattlers, so I know, you know, they'll be there if the 100 is there. So the crowd will not be a factor. So that's one aspect that you can take out of it. But a lot of things have to fall the right way for these FBS upsets to happen. And right now, I can't pick that, at least right now. As the season goes on, you know, maybe not. But right now, I can't pick it. October 2nd, they return home after a bye week to host Alabama State. Alabama State's probably between them and Bethune-Cookman are the two wild cards of the division. They're very good on defense. Offensively, they have the potential to be good, but they also still have to develop some consistency. And I think they're playing for their coach's job because I think Coach Ely is on the hot seat. If he isn't yet, he will be. Alabama State has a new AD, so I think there's going to be a factor in, especially the fans looking for him to be gone. But right now, I think Florida A&M will win this game. It's going to be a tight game because Alabama State don't really get blowed out that often. I think it'll be a tight game, and Florida A&M will find a way to win this game. October 9th, they stay at home and they host South Carolina State. Florida A&M had a rough go against South Carolina State the last few years. They actually had a 6-game losing streak before they beat them in 2019. So this is a matchup that can go either way. South Carolina State's a good defensive team. They didn't look that sharp on offense in the spring, but they were able to go 1-1 against SWAC opponents, losing to Alabama A&M and beating Alabama State. There's a lot of states and A&Ms in this preview, man. It's really throwing me for a loop. But they were able to go 1-1. Offensively, they didn't do much in either game. 7 points in the first game, 14 in the second. But defensively, they did a very good job against Alabama State, holding them down and holding them to only one touchdown and not allowing them to have any kind of explosiveness on offense. You know, this is a team, they're familiar with Florida A&M. They're not going to be intimidated by them. But I think Florida A&M has opportunity to do some things this season. So I think they'll win that game at home, even though they haven't really beat them at home in a while, but I think they will this year. October 16th is the next big game on the road at Alabama A&M. I feel like, you know, you can say what you want about all 6 teams or 5 out of 6 teams in the East are capable contenders, but to me, it's a 3-team race, and that's 1, 2, and 3. Those 3 teams to my left. So whoever comes out of this 3-team race, with the least amount of wounds, is gonna most likely win the division. I'm predicting this 3-team race to end in a tie. So you're gonna have to look outside of that. because I feel like the SWAC East winner this season. Now, I'm not speaking for years later when you know when the big blue machine is rolling over everybody. I'm talking about now this year. I think the winner of this division is probably going to have 2 losses. If they don't, it's possible that they do. So I think Alabama A&M will lose this game because I think they'll beat Jackson State the week before, and FAMU will be able to come in and take advantage of that opportunity and pick up a W. But again, like I said, my Jackson State pick, this is another game that could go either way. It all depends on how well Florida A&M is playing on offense, because Alabama A&M is going to challenge them, but Florida A&M is pretty solid on defense. So I think that they'll be able to at least hang in there and give themselves a chance to win on the road. October 23rd, they stay on the road as they go to itty bitty Mississippi, as we like to call it, to take on the Delta Devils. Valley, always a big dog in their own yard, but they don't have the depth to hang with better teams. And this is going to be another one of those classic Valley games, you know, close for a quarter, defense wear down, FAMU pulls away, pretty much open and shut. October 30th, they come home for homecoming against Grambling. Grambling's a wild card. We don't know what to expect from them right now. They were horrible in the spring, but they feel like they did some things to fix what their problems are. We'll see. At this point, you know, usually late in the season, Grambling is playing fairly well. Even if they start slow, they're playing fairly well at this point in the season. So this game won't be a gimme, but I think FAMU will win it. November 6th is another game that I've been going back and forth with. And for the sake of the preview, I'm picking Southern. Southern hasn't beaten Florida A&M in Baton Rouge in God knows how long. I honestly can't even remember the last time they beat Florida A&M in Baton Rouge. I can't remember. If anybody remember, you let me know. But I can't remember the last time they beat them in Baton Rouge. I can remember the last time they beat them in Tallahassee. I can remember the last time they beat them at a neutral site. I can't remember the last time they beat them at Southern. It wasn't 98. It wasn't 2008. It wasn't 96. It may have been 96. It may have been 96. I'm not sure. It wasn't 94, I know, because I sat in the rain at that game. But all that being said, I think Southern has a good opportunity to win this game. They should have beat them in the matchup in 2019. Southern played a horrible first half and fell behind. I think it was 19-0. Came back and actually took the lead going into the fourth quarter. Ryan Stanley led a 99-yard drive to score the winning touchdown for Florida A&M. That's a game Southern should have won. I think they'll be able to seal the deal in this matchup. But you know, obviously this game could go either way. FAMU, like I said, they find a way to win in Baton Rouge all the time. You know, that may be that may continue, but that streak may end. And I'm ending a lot of streaks this fall, so I think that streak will end, and that sends them into a November 13th game against Pine Bluff. This is not going to be an easy game because I don't know what Pine Bluff, you know, where they're going to fall at this point in the season. They have the potential to be a contender in the division. I have them as a solid third right now, but it's easy for them to move up if they find a way to beat Southern and Alcorn or Southern or Alcorn. Then they're definitely legitimate contenders. This is not going to be an easy game. Pine Bluff's not an easy place to play, and it's going to be interesting to see how FAMU responds because this stretch of games, this last 8 games there's no bye week, so this will be their 7th straight game without a bye week, and the Florida Classic is looming. So will they look ahead? I'm not saying it will, but it happens. It happens in games like that where you got a big game the next week, and this is a trap. This is the definition of a trap game, honestly. And they're coming off a game against Southern, which is gonna be a big game, and they had a Florida Classic, which is the week after this game. So this is a game that could easily be lost due to the trap game factor. But I'm picking FAMU to win for the sake of my predictions, and I think they're gonna win the Florida Classic too because I don't think it can't get to 10, can it? It has to stop at 9, right? So I think they'll win the Florida Classic, giving them a record of 8-3. 6-2 in conference. and that could possibly win them the division in that 3-team tie that I have going on in the East Division. It's all a message to my madness. So I think, you know, like I said, best case scenario, I'm really hesitant to pick them to beat South Florida until I see both teams in action. Obviously that goes against what I'm saying about the rest of the schedule, but just go with me on this. I think best case scenario is 10-1. I don't see anything honestly less than 7-4. I think if they lose 4 games, then I think something went wrong, especially early in the season. That early stretch is not super tough, but those 8 games after the bye week is gonna be what they really have to navigate. Having a bunch of games on the road, and they go on the road for two straight weeks, 2 times. At Alabama A&M and at Valley, and then at Southern and at Pine Bluff. So that's a lot of traveling in a short, you know, back-to-back weeks, with a home game against Grambling in between those. So the schedule doesn't really shape up for too many missteps. I really could say not too many people have an easy schedule in the SWAC this year. No, nobody scheduled them any favor. So I think, like I said, right now, conservatively, I'm going 8-3 from Florida A&M. Easily could be 9-2 or 10-1 if their team is as good as people say they are. Like I said, I don't think they'll lose more than 4 games if that happens. Anything less than 4 is a disaster. Something went horribly wrong, and they're gonna have a problem to fix. But 8-3 is where I stand right now. And we'll see how things go once we get in the camp, because camps will be opening very soon. So with that being said, I'm your boy, Charles Wells, your host and tour guide through the SWAC. We're going to continue to ride the whip. Next Sunday, we'll be riding on through Grambling to check out the G-Man. Tomorrow, another edition of SWAC Smoke coming at you. And we'll be back Wednesday next week. Y'all favorite team, JSU, will be on the docket. So we'll talk Tigers twice in a row, Grambling and Jackson State. So with that being said, I'm your boy C. Wells signing out. Y'all enjoy your day.